So
That's right.
what is trauma and what isn't trauma?
It's a great question, and it really is variable. That's one of the blessings and the curses, based on temperament and perception. Like you can have
Okay.
three kids in the same family, kind of with the same behavior, and they all respond very differently. Same parental behavior. And they all respond differently because of their nervous system, because of their sensitivity, because of their temperament. My brother, who's 2 years younger than me, I mean, he didn't have the same level of abuse that I did, but he had a different kind of resilience. And like he's a big hunter. So he's like, I'm going to dominate and kill animals, right? That was kind of an adaptive response for him in our family. I become this trauma specialist, but I had a sensitivity that my brother didn't in a certain kind of way. So each kid's experience is different, and we have to take that into account when we think about trauma. But I think about intensity, frequency, and duration. The intensity of an event, the frequency it occurs, and the duration. Those are important factors around an overwhelming experience. I think about trauma as an experience that happens to you. It's not who you are, because we personalize our trauma a lot. So it's what happened to you and how do you react and respond to it. So I want people to differentiate, because a lot of people like, I am trauma, or this is me, I am broken, I am bad, I'm a horrible person. It's like, no, something bad happened to you and you personalized it, and then you react and respond this way because of what you're holding,
It's like we
trauma.
digested it in a maladaptive way. Like we had
100%.
digested in a way where we are seeing it almost from the perpetrator's point of view, that
100%.
we are bad
Yeah,
in
that's
order
right.
to survive this
Yes,
experience. And then that becomes our point of view.
100%. When perpetrators don't take responsibility for their actions, kids do 100% of the time. Kids have to make meaning of a situation. Every time my dad yelled and screamed at me, and he said some pretty violent things frequently, he didn't do the repair apology thing. And so, what am I supposed to think? Well, if I'm a useless piece of shit, I'm a useless piece of shit. That must be who I am. Because kids have this need for parental authority to help them make meaning and sense of the world. And so, when you have that and you don't have, like, this is what happens with alcoholic kids who grow up with alcoholic parents. There's the drunk parent, yelling and screaming, doing whatever. And then there's a sober parent, which is like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I'll never do it again. And then it happens tomorrow and it happens the next day. So that's not authentic repair. That's the daddy who apologizes and the daddy who yells and screams, which is so confusing for kids, right? That's
And you're
not.
talking about the same person.
I'm talking about the same person, because that happens in alcoholic situations, yelling and screaming when they lose it or when they're drunk. And then this self-loathing, I'm such a bad parent, I should have never done that, I'm so sorry, when they're sober. That is not what I'm talking about with authentic responsibility and repair. Like, I am wrong, daddy is wrong, I shouldn't have yelled at you, that is my fault, here's the reason that I did that. Has nothing to do with you. I will do everything in my power never to do that again. If you see me do that, please let me know, because that is not your responsibility. Like, there's a way to take full responsibility for your actions, not like pleading for forgiveness, right? So the losing it's important, but even almost more important is how you take responsibility for what you've done with your children. And like my oldest son, was so recently, like after writing this memoir, and he saw all this stuff. He's like, wow, I had no idea all this was happened in your life. I loved my grandpa, like, you know what I mean? He's like, I had a great grandpa. But there was this, he at some point, and was developmentally appropriate, he got really angry at me. He was like 18 years old. and you did this, and you were controlling, and you yelled at me, and you did. He like had this litany of lists of things that he was holding that I did wrong. And I was like, you are absolutely right. I am so sorry. Let's talk about it. And he was kind of dumbfounded. Like, he was like, what? Like, you took out all my thunder. And I'm like, yeah, honey, but that's the truth. If you are holding that, then it's true. And your perception and experience of whatever. And there was no defending or, but I tried the best. And he has a special needs brother. And he's like, you neglected me because you spent all this time on, my brother. I'm like, yes, I am so sorry about that. I am so sorry. And I think parents don't take enough responsibility because they try so hard and they care so much and they love so much, but it's so important for kids to be validated in their experience, regardless of, my parents sent me to therapy when I was a kid, and they were well-intended. I know that. They said, we did what we wanted was best for you, but it had a profoundly negative effect on my life. 32 years of suppression. Like, kids have a hard time holding both truths, right? Yeah. So we as parents need to really work on that and model that for our children. And I think that's challenging.
Yeah, I mean, it requires a great amount of, humility, but also not self-flagellation, as you're talking about, like a great amount of compassion for ourselves and 100%. Our humanity, right? That, we're gonna make mistakes and we're still okay people, even if we make those mistakes, because we are gonna make those mistakes.